A pleasure to meet y'all at last, and welcome back to Films I'm Willing to Talk About Again. And so now, we have ourselves a rather interesting turn of events. And when I say interesting, it can go in many different ways. But from what I'm going to talk about today, a film from the late 1980s, which then eventually turned into a bit of a short-lived series, and eventually a pretty big cult phenomenon that is still around to this very day, Short Circuit, is probably one of those rare examples of how a robot can actually become human by any means. Although, in more recent years, we have certainly begun to see how robotic individuals, mechanisms, machines, and all sorts of things out there can actually have a bit of a lively personality, much like our own. In this case, though, it takes it to a whole new level, because what happens here is that the military in this film are working on a new type of robot that is able to do all sorts of things that most human foot soldiers cannot accomplish very much. It also is made to be durable, by all accounts. It's also equipped with a large laser cannon and is simply known as Number 5, meaning that it must be the number 5 model in the whole lineup that they have. The other 4 probably might have gone defunct. But this exact version actually does go through some unbelievable turn of events. It gets struck by lightning and eventually develops an incredible, hilarious, and outstanding personality to it. Eventually, Number 5 is in fact given a pretty impressive life. One, of course, that does in fact seem to be short-lived, but with the help of some friends close by, it does seem like that this robot, by all accounts, is able to live pretty well. But at the constant threat of deactivation by the company Nova, it almost seems like Number 5 is at every piece and point of danger whenever possible. But thanks to the help of some people around, Number 5 is in fact able to survive oncoming attacks by Nova and eventually adopt the name Johnny 5, which of course would be used in the sequel. I will go into detail on that a little bit more. And when I do speak of how I want to talk about this exact film again, it's at a point in time where I actually did mention this some time ago in 2011, because Short Circuit has certainly become a bit of a cult phenomenon and is certainly there for all of us to enjoy. It does have some pretty hilarious moments, like when Number 5 had disassembled the car of I mean, that's incredible by all means. It just shows that robots are willing to do anything at all to disrupt the fabric of time. I mean, there's certainly a lot of camera work in here that really makes you wonder how well is this film actually done. Of course, we also can't forget the classic moment where Number 5 is inside the house, spilling things all over the place, and eventually grabs a hold of a table rag and pulls off the classic move of not allowing the china and expensive dishes to fall right off. That was pretty impressive. And then of course it gets messed up after 5 picks up the table and lets it all fall to the floor, which seems devastating. But there's a lot of other moments in there that make up for it. Probably one of the most important parts of this film entirely is the fact that Number 5 accidentally steps on a bug and kills it. It apparently gets the idea that the bug should be reassembled and brought back to life, but is apparently convinced that whenever you disassemble something, it equals death. Which just simply means that it does not ever come back again. That, of course, sends 5 out on an unbelievable rampage. He basically just goes and steals a van and road rages all over the city. I mean, what more could you ask for? Lots of moments in this film are just as spicy as they are in fact sweet. Plenty of action, some unbelievable humor, and other such aspects that you might not be able to find in most other classics. But at least for the 1980s, being that it was a bit of a timely part, that robot films were pretty widespread. And even to this day, a lot of people still do talk about robots because they are in fact part of the future. Number 5, in Short Circuit, from being struck to a lightning bolt to supposedly being blown up by Nova, then eventually coming back, somehow, and simply going along happily with his friends, adopting the name Johnny Five, which of course would end the film entirely. That is of course until it would get a sequel a few years later. And so, at some point in time I will eventually go into detail on that, but if you want to see more go down on my channel, then make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.